took on as well. Oh.
By the way, have you tried any of the changes like the stomp?
Yeah, we're live, by the way. I started. I forgot to say so.
You actually started 2 hours ago, so this.
About all of our debate.
Yeah.
And everyone hates us. Why? Because we talked.
White Acropolis.
Why an Acropolis zone? Do 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 do. All right, I guess we have to wait for people to join in.
Yeah, I'm tweeting it out right now.
I listened to Snowy Peak, White Acropolis, for a half an hour straight without realizing.
The quote unquote Act 2 of White Acropolis is actually pretty funky. Well, not Act 2, but like
inside the base.
Yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Quite chill. I like the Snowy Peak song.
Yeah.
I just hate that part of the stage.
Like so after playing Prowler 6, something I did want to say into the game design I do like is that like I do really like the feeling of like seeing a bunch of enemies and then like an explosive crate and just heading straight for that, kicking it, and then like doing massive damage and feeling smart.
Massive damage.
Because that's I guess I said it before, but like as Wolfbane said, like Sonic is versatile but specific ways, and I guess one of the ways you can show that is like take advantage of your advantage.
Take advantage of your advantage.
Taking advantage of like your environment, and like that's one way to do it. It's like, oh, I see an explosive crate. time to do my thing.
Time to grab the booty.
Yeah, grab.
Oh yeah.
That's something I did like from Project 06 that I'm not saying we have to put in a project, but I do like that. I do think in spirit it's actually a good idea. Also, another thing, a quirk I realized that like when you bounce, like something I didn't you don't really realize if you think about it, like when Sonic bounces in Prodigal 6, like when he bounces on an enemy, he just kind of goes through them.
Yeah, he does.
I'm wondering, like, should we be able to bounce off enemies, or should we kind of emulate that so that you can like go through enemies and like sort of like quote unquote combo them?
I don't know.
We'll figure that out, but that's one thing I was thinking about.
I'm gonna download anyway. Files. Documents. Sonic
have you tried the rolling yet? Also, Fizz.
Oh, rolling into an enemy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's very close to how Project Hero does it in terms of looks, so someone may notice that, but I don't really care because it's fun. And the cool thing is, I'm not saying this has to be how it works, but like it's giving me ideas. Like you combo off for that. You can because how it works right now is that every time an enemy gets hit, it actually keeps track of that, and it reduces the knockback every time. But you can like combo, so like you have a limited number of hits before eventually the enemy will like just explode because you ran out. It would like not get hit far enough, but you can like roll into enemy 2 times and then boost or kick afterwards, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything right now, but eventually when we get a combo system, or even maybe a system where you can hit, target, and like homing attack enemies that you already hit, so that you can traverse places. That would be a cool mechanic where you roll into enemy 2 times, they bounce 2 times, then you kick them and maybe they fly forward or upwards, then you homing attack off of that to traverse and stuff. And it's just good. It just feels kind of good. I'm sure there's more ways to add crunch because we haven't focused on that, but just like even in its base form, it's a good feeling.
Add Crunch Bandicoot.
We have Crash and we have Crunch Bandicoot.
Crunch. I wonder if Crunch is going to be like no longer canon.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that Crunch was actually like in the PS2 Crash Bandicoot game. Like
yeah, he featured in Wrath of Cortex.
They've stated that every Crash Bandicoot game is canon, just in different dimensions, because that's what this game's all about, dimension hopping.
I see.
Makes sense. Huh? Funny. I thought it was more than that.
Funny. I thought it was more than that.
More than that.
I don't know anybody who liked Crunch or anything. It's just I didn't know if he was still a character. I didn't ever play Wrath of Cortex, so or literally any game other than the original trilogy. So
For me, my first introduction to it was the PS, not Wrath of Cortex. Was it Wrath of Cortex, the PST one?
Yeah, Wrath of Cortex and Twin Sanity were both on the PS2.
Yeah, I remember my brother when I was really young was playing on the PS2, and I tried. Of course, I fucking died because I was like 4 years old. But I did eventually pick it up again later on the PS2, and it was hard at the time because I never played Crash Bandicoot game.
Mm.
And then I did play Crash of the Titans for the Wii.
I played Crash Tag Team Racing.
Nice.
I thought it was pretty alright.
Are you singing the weird song?
Yeah, I like that song. It's a good song, though.
Which song?
No, I'm not knocking you for it. It's like I didn't realize it until later.
I've been singing for like the past 10 minutes now.
Which song? Oh, it's the one with the wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's people in chat, by the way, so they can hear us being weird.
It says there's 2 people
It's
in
that
chat.
people.
Oh, there's 4 people now. Okay. Yeah, we're just waiting for
yeah.
people to join in before we really get started.
Let's give it maybe a few more minutes. We can keep talking.
Johnny versus SpongeBob SquarePants battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrated.
Johnny versus SpongeBob.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. Pause the stream. I'm watching this video. That's more important right now.
Johnny versus SpongeBob.
Johnny punches SpongeBob in his fat fucking face. Just get over here, little shit.
Shit.
Oh, I like the opening.
Is
of
the
the
opening?
episode.
Yeah, it's alright. Alright. Boop. That should swap it over. Yes, okay, here we go. Oh, this is the first time that we get to show off the rave room.
3.3 gigabytes. Oof.
Oh, yeah. Time to...
Oh, yeah.
We get to show off the rave room.
Eventually.
It's so ravey at the moment. There's literally 3 boxes.
There are 3 colors in the rave room.
Are we going to do a proper introduction or something? Or
Nah, we never really do.
well, usually we address everybody. It's like, hello there. My name is insert name here, and today we're going to be showing off insert content here.
We've not done that in the past, in a while now.
Oh,
We've not done that in the past 2 or 3 streams, but oh well.
insert response here.
Insert response here.
All right, well, I guess we should just play the game.
Yeah.
Talk about shit we've done.
Let's see. Let's swap over to Snock.
Yeah, let's do Sonic. For
How's
now.
it going, Shirley? It's not a rave
It's
room
not a
without.
rave room without Xans and Lean.
I don't know.
Xanax and I'm not sure what Lean is actually.
What?
It could be cocaine because I know cocaine makes you slim as hell, so maybe that's why they call it lean.
I don't.
Why
I'm
are
not
we...
cool
the
enough.
drugs.
I just
What?
got back. Why the hell are you talking about drugs?
I don't
Because
know. I didn't know you left.
Shiranui was talking. I pronounced his name
You're
probably wrong.
You're gonna freaking get Fizz banned on Twitch.com.
You can't say
Damn.
bad words like heck and crack, apparently.
Crack. No, look at his butt crack.
And
you
some
freak out.
crank.
Oh yeah, crank it up. Video demonetized.
Alright, so the rave room is going to be just a segmented area for all of our Wisp related things, because all of the colors are in here, so it's a rave room. Get it?
They feel so nice.
It's funny.
They're hilarious.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up! And obviously the combat room is going to be the room where we expand upon all the enemies. Lean is cough syrup mixed with purple soda.
Purple soda.
That sounds
Okay.
disgusting.
Dude, that sounds like a great time to die.
To die. Get high on cough
I
syrup.
said that's disgusting. So
I
I'm
said-
making a call out post on my Twitter.com.
My
Lean, you're
Twitter.
disgusting.
My Twitter.com.
Alright, let's play the game. Also, yeah, we've been changing around the music. And by I
We?
mean me.
You have been changing around the music non-stop for like the past 10 years.
Fuck that guy.
That one particular egg pawn, fuck him.
I put them there just to test like hitbox, to make sure they actually like curve. Well, not curve, but like rotate it correctly.
Yeah.
And they do.
So I suppose we can get started. It's been a couple of minutes now.
Yeah.
So I think we'll go ahead and go over your hitboxes and stuff first.
Oh yeah, I could do that. So for those of you who don't know, I'm implementing a hitbox system in Infinity Plus, so that when you do attacks, you can create a hitbox, and it just, you know,
It works.
I know what. Now we know why Big is so. Oh. Yeah.
Woo! I've never tested this interaction. By the way, that is 100% just a test. I gave these boxes the homing attack tag just to see like if I could track them for debugging purposes, which I can get rid of that tag now. I know I can track them.
Yeah.
Purple cat on purple stuff.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
That's the good shit, right? Anyway, hitboxes?
Yes, hitboxes. So do a kick real quick.
Kick move.
Oh, that shouldn't be happening. Is that a homing attack one, or is that a rolling hitbox? Anyway, so as you do a kick, you can see that multiple hitboxes are being spawned.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to note is that Unreal only allows you. So how these collision boxes work is that I'm adding either a box collision box. That sounds weird. A box collision, a spear collision, or a capsule collision. The weird thing is, I can't create like circles and stuff out of capsule collision or spear collision, so you can't squash them. So something I do is that, like for instance, when you do a kick, that was cool. When you do a spin kick, he actually creates a capsule collision, and then I squash it using a box. So what's happening is the box, the capsule collision is doing a check, and it's also checking to see if you're within the box. So that way you can hit enemies only on the ground with the spin kick. And there's a new parameter called scale that controls this. And also, if you don't know, you can create these hitboxes using animations. Like you go into animations, add in animation notify, and animation notify state, and you can add in the hitbox that way, and it'll work. That's actually how the kick and the slide works. It just creates a hitbox using the animation. But something else we also added in recently from the last stream is that you can now roll into enemies, and they will, you know, get hit. And it's kind of cool because when you roll into enemies, you can hit them multiple times. So if you hit them just right, you can kind of juggle them. And then you can also, like, you can get, while you're juggling them, you can get out of the roll and kick them, for instance, and that will do the job.
Think you'll be able to combo enemies like in PH?
That's what I'm trying to do. Like, in theory, each attack you can do right now that pops up an enemy, you can't hit them again. And one thing I was thinking about, not saying this will be in a project, but one thing I was thinking about is certain attacks can even make it will allow enemies to still be homing it, like targetable by, say, the homing attack. So, for instance, when Fizz does a spin kick, you notice that the enemies like pop up into the air when he does a spin kick. Like, he just kind of goes up and it falls a bit, then then it explodes. One cool idea is that maybe when you do the spin kick, you can then homing attack them right after that. But you see, speaking of combos, you see Fizz is like rolling to the enemy, then boosting into them to push them further. The problem with the boost, not a problem, but the boost does pushes them so far away that you can't really catch up with them. And also another thing we added is if the blue enemy has 4 health, there is now technically a health system. It's not displayed, but Fizz did attack the enemy, and all he did was move. And eventually we're going to expand upon this, but if you homing attack an enemy, for instance, that has health, you are like, how it is currently is that you do have like a bit of a knockback period where you can't really move around. And right now it's a bit strong, but it does make it so that if you hit an enemy, you homing attack and stuff like that, there is a bit of like a punishment to like hitting them. So, I have to recover because I just hit an enemy, you just didn't die in one hit.
The idea is to prevent you from spamming the home attack constantly.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And we could do a lot of things with this. And like, this isn't set in stone once again, but we can even make it so that when you hit some enemies can be like knocked back when you hit them and they don't die. Kind of like a Smash Brothers, for instance, and they can have fewer hits done. And maybe some super heavy enemy like egg hammers from like Sonic Heroes. When you hit them, they don't even flinch, like they have super armor, for instance. And that could be a cool mechanic where some enemies, like you can attack them. You can attack certain enemies just to make them stop trying to target you, but other enemies are just immune to that.
Teamwork flying.
Yeah.
Woo! Look at that. It is actually pretty fun to mess around with this.
Yeah, like the first and foremost, the combat should be fun, and I'm sort of achieving that right now with like how the hitboxes are. You can juggle enemies, but we do want it to be purposeful too, which is the next step. We want it to be. How do I put it? If anybody here has played Doom Eternal, one struggle they had was they had to make the enemies promote the other player to play in a fun way. So they had to like pretty much make the enemies say, okay, if you don't play in a certain way that we know is fun, then you die. I'm not saying we're going to do that exactly, but hopefully when it comes to enemy design and interactions, one thing we'll try to promote is that the enemies will hopefully force you to interact in a fun way. Like do cool things and shit. This is another thing we could show off. Oh, you can do the stomp.
Oh yeah, the stomp is a thing. Now, if anyone has played Infinity, obviously, then you'll be aware that the stomp actually has a variant called the Meteor Crash.
Yep.
Just side note, Emmanuel, we should probably increase the radius of the regular stomp a little bit because you have to be like really close to the enemy.
Yeah, just slightly. I think that technically the stomp, how it is currently, it's just I think the raise is just to make sure you do hit enemies that you're really close to, but we should increase it slightly just for quality of life.
Anyway, as I was saying, one thing I had to kind of cheat there to really show this off, but if anyone knows about what the Meteor Crash is, how the Meteor Crash used to function was essentially whenever you would do a stomp, the engine would create a line trace down by like a large amount, and if that line trace failed to overlap with anything, instead of doing a regular stomp, what it would do was a Meteor Crash. That was mainly to incentivize, being really high up in the air, because Infinity used to be skydiving simulator. You used to be able to skydive everywhere, but we changed that, so you can't skydive anywhere. So it didn't make sense to Meteor Crash everywhere either. So there are two situations in which you can Meteor Crash. One, if you jump into a skydive zone, like right over there. Or two, if you press the stomp button, and if you're high up enough in the air while holding the stomp button, your stomp will transform into a Meteor Crash.
Yes, and we can change the height of it and stuff like that too, but the basic idea is that you can now choose to do a Meteor Crash by holding down the button, and Sonic will kind of do an animation where he will transition from the regular stomp, roll a bit, and then go into the Right now, I think I may have to be more lax about the height, but in spirit,
because ideally, like this here, I'm gonna jump from this height, and I'm just gonna press the stomp button, pop, bam. But I'm gonna jump from the same height again, but this time I'm going to hold the stomp button. Oh, come on, get up there. And then Meteor Crash.
Yeah, and if you notice, the camera does also like point down. I didn't tell you guys, but I made a new function or additional functionality to the camera lag, and now it can also like tell you to look in a direction.
Yeah,
that's
we noticed
what it does.
We noticed it.
Yeah, this
is actually
a
really
local
good.
thing. What it does is that for the stomp right now, it actually looks downwards, and also the camera it doesn't entirely stay in place, but it lags behind considerably when you do it. And I made changes so it only does that once you're a certain height from the ground. But it does give you a better idea of where you're going to hit, and maybe we can even add in like a little marker that shows how big the stomp radius will be.
Yeah. The Meteor Crash radius is probably a little bit too big, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. We'll mess with it later. Yeah, so yeah, we've made some pretty good I say we, it's actually a manual, but the collective we have made a lot of good progress on combat.
Yeah, and I made a lot of under the hood changes too. One of them being like I said, being able to switch the spears and capsules, so now you can create flat discs, because that's something you can't natively do. But now you can using a scale tool, fix a few bugs, and also rework how you can send enemies flying and stuff, so that all the groundwork is now laid out. So hopefully it'll be easier now to actually implement new moves. So that'll be pretty cool. And that can also to make it so that when you hit enemies with health, they actually interact more properly, because right now it's kind of weird. They just get pushed back.
Yeah.
Just something I'll probably need Reese's help on, which is making enemies actually have hit stun for a period of time where they can't hit you back.
Alright, so to move on from combat, We've got these neat little pushable boxes here. We will be returning these here in a bit. Pop.
Yep.
Emmanuel is carrying the whole team. Give him unpaid vacation.
Wait, what?
Emmanuel's carrying the team in terms of combat. Yes.
No, I haven't been doing everything. I'm just good at I like combat, so that's just what I've been focusing on.
Emmanuel has not worked on the wisps like at all. He's assisted us whenever like I needed help. If I needed help figuring out some, he would help me out. But other than that,
there's one thing I did by myself.
With the wisps?
Yeah, the prediction line, and be able to.
Oh yeah, the prediction line. You did do that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. But
We'll give you that one this time.
Wow.
I pretty much, save for like some assistance with the crystals by Shadow, I pretty much created the cyan laser myself. Not including obviously the mesh. The mesh was made by Reese.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really good too. I really like it.
It's pretty meh.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
You're not going to see for a split second, because you're not actually going to see while you're charging up. You're only going to see it while you're blasting away.
Yeah. I mean, I always cancel, like, I always rush the cyan laser. You can actually sit here and just, you know, hold it and really take a good look at it. And then it'll launch out. Woo!
Oh, yeah. Time to grab the capsule.
Time to grab the capsule.
The cape isn't rigged yet, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, Reese is rigging Whisper in the background.
Oh, yeah.
In very risque ways.
No, just freaking hips are really hard to rig to get the legs and the backs to blend nicely. It's really freaking annoying.
Yeah, so how, I guess I'll let Fizz explain how the design wisp works, although it's kind of self-explanatory.
It is a little bit self-explanatory. The way I did it, I like, the more and more I think about it, I feel like the way that I did it is, I don't say incorrect, because I honestly can't think of a different way of doing it, really. It's a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unorthodox?
Yeah, unorthodox. Unorthodox is definitely the word I was looking for. Essentially, how it works is it draws, whenever you activate the wisp, what it will do is it will draw a line trace outward at a set radius, or at a set length. And then whenever it activates, it will interpolate your transform to the end point of that line trace. But the thing is, it's also creating the line trace as you're interping to it, so the new line trace length extends with you. So essentially, you're chasing a bone that you'll never catch with it, and this essentially just constantly replays over and over again until your energy drains. And once your energy is gone, then it cancels out. So essentially, whenever you activate the wisp, it'll create a little light trace ahead of you, and then in slow motion, you can see that the thing is... I think I hit V by accident.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. The wisp is drawing a line trace in front of it and interpolating it to you. We don't have camera movement at all, and the actual line trace is not shown. Like, I have it hidden at the moment. And even then, if you could see it, it would be very, very difficult to see due to how small it is.
Yeah.
But essentially all it does is it just constantly moves you to a point that you'll never reach. And then once you collide with a wall, once it recognizes that you hit something, what it will do is it will get the normal of that wall, and it will mirror your forward angle or your forward vector with that wall. Like, there's a mirror function you can use. It'll take the normal of the wall and your forward vector and mirror it, so that way it's essentially almost a perfect angle every time.
Yeah.
And once it mirrors it, it sets your rotation to that new mirror. So that becomes your new forward vector, and then it just pulls you in that direction instead.
Actually, the basics.
Yep. And then Emmanuel added in the option to change the direction of it. If you ever played Sonic Colors, you know that whenever you use the cyan laser in a 3D space, you're able to move left and right, or aim it left and right. And if you use it in a 2D space, you're able to move it up and down. But we have it set up to where you can move it in both up and down. Also, there's something really wrong with the interp speed. It does not want to work sometimes.
Yeah, in a prediction line, actually how it works is it's weird how it works. What it does that I actually created a capsule component that doesn't really interact with anything, but what it does is that whenever you hit a line, it takes the capsule to that and rotates it towards the mirror point, and then it does another line trace from that point. Because it's weird trying to draw a vector from a position that you can't actually be at in the mirror. But that's how that works.
Shiranui asked, what facets of the laser wisp do you plan to be modifiable? I'll go over that here in a little while. There isn't really much of anything else about the laser wisp that I wanted to mention, other than this one last fact. The laser wisp has a defaulted timer on the inside that will run in the background to essentially prevent infinite loops, such as that one.
Yep.
Which you can turn off if you want to. You can turn it off and create a troll with the laser wisp and essentially lock a player in an infinite loop. But for now, I have it on by default. And I can also go over how these work as well. The redirection lasers, they're actually really, really simple and really fun to use.
Yeah, you could probably go in editor to show them.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna show off the rocket wisp real quick, and I'm gonna go into editor. And then whenever I'm in editor, I can show Shiranui what he wants to see. So the rocket wisp was worked on by Reese almost exclusively. I helped him with a couple of spots, but he worked on it for the most part.
I still try. I need to make a mesh.
As intended. The rocket wisp will launch you up into the air. And I don't know if this was a thing in Generations or Colors, but you can actually hold the button to charge it to launch yourself even higher. You can hold the shift button or the X button to launch yourself even higher.
I didn't know it did that. I thought it was just a set.
No, it is not. It's actually pretty neat how I set it up. And I can also go over the orange wisp. The orange wisp won't take as long to get into, but
yeah, there's also technically the red wisp, but we didn't do anything with it really.
Yeah, we could show off the red wisp, but the red wisp doesn't have much of anything to show off yet because
it's very work in progress.
Yeah, it's not quite ready. Another thing to show off real quick with it is the rocket wisp will put you into a skydive, very similar to that of Sonic Colors. Once you exit a rocket wisp and I think Lost World, you will enter into a skydive state. This does not mean that we're bringing back Skydiving Simulator at all. The Rocket Wisp is essentially the one exception to the rule where you're able to skydive wherever you want as long as you have a Rocket Wisp. The Rocket Wisp has specific code to activate the skydive. So no, we're not bringing Skydiving Simulator back. We're just activating it for the Rocket Wisp. Rocket Wisp will also stop and make a little sound when you hit something. It is supposed to move up slopes if you hit a slanted object. It's supposed to move up that slope like that right there, but it currently does not. We're still working on that. Like if I run into a slanted ceiling, it'll just get caught on the slanted ceiling.
Yeah, and eventually we got add in like camera functions so that if you do a rocket wisp, it actually looks in the direction that you're going or something like that.
Yeah. Currently, all the rocket, what the camera does is whenever you use the wisp, it'll lock itself behind Sonic and then use the rocket, because the wisp's transform is equal to that of Sonic's transform, so it just rotates the camera back behind Sonic.
Yeah.
Very last thing I'm going to show here in the pie, and then I can move into the editor and show you. Yeah. And then I can show you the stuff in the actual editor, and then we'll move on to the next amazing thing. You've probably seen it, but these trigger boxes are camera trigger boxes, and they work with the wisps now. So you can actually have them set to activate only if you're in a wisp form, and you can adjust some of their parameters based on exclusively on wisps.
Yeah, super helpful.
Yeah. Super great for if you want to create a little cinematic thing. That one was a static one. That one just looks in one location. And then this one here will follow you It'll follow your location, which is a
You know,
little
I
bit
didn't even
difficult.
notice that one.
You didn't notice that?
I didn't even notice that one follows you and the other one didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. It happened so quickly.
It does. The laser is not a good one to test with that, just due to how fast it moves.
Fist.
It moves fast. So when wisps are used, they always pause Sonic before he actually transform. But if someone wanted, would they be able to change so they could activate while moving? Can the time it takes for Sonic change be edited?
Right now we don't have that functionality.
Right now, yeah. Right now we don't have that functionality. Essentially, Sonic doesn't. As far as I'm concerned, Sonic doesn't stop. Go back to the action graph. I want you to go to the action graph.
Well, in the games he does. Like obviously it's like the.
No, he does stop. Okay, so if you didn't want Sonic to stop, Sonic doesn't have to come to a complete stop to use a wisp. I just do that for showmanship purposes. You do not have to come to a complete stop to use a wisp. And if you don't want to, you just got to remove this node right here, this stop movement immediately. But the thing is the way that we work with the wisps are actually an entirely separate actor. If you open up any of these folders, you'll see like Sonic, Blueprint Sonic, Blueprint Tails, Blueprint Knuckles. All of those are child blueprints of the Master Class Blueprint. We did the exact same thing with the wisps. Because it was kind of pointless to have all of this extra wisp code shoved into the master blueprint. The master blueprint was already getting dense enough as it is. So we created an all new master blueprint for the wisps, and all of the child wisps can contain each individual code. So whenever you open up a child wisp here, let me go ahead and open up the master, and I'll go ahead and also open up one of the child blueprints as well. Let's go ahead and open up Cyan Laser. Bloop. Cyan Laser. Every single child wisp has their own individual energy drain, energy modifier variables that you can set. So the way it's all set up is we set the master variable to be whatever the child variable is. You don't actually have to do this. You can just set the master variable inside of the child blueprint and it'll stay exclusive to that child blueprint. You don't have to do that. But I did it anyway, just to allow you to be able to adjust these on the fly whenever you wanted, without it potentially messing anything up, which it shouldn't. But essentially, because what happens whenever you grab a wisp and you use your wisp power, you're actually creating and then possessing an entirely new actor. Like, we actually spawn in the actor. The actor doesn't already exist. We completely create the actor, and then we possess said actor. So even though you can move while activating a wisp, the wisp won't contain your momentum. And 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't want the wisps to contain your momentum. You don't want the Cyan Laser to be like sliding in midair while you're using it. That would be horrendous. Like, some arguments can be made for some wisps, like burst or cube or things like that.
We could even make that a variable even.
Yeah, we could make adjustments to obviously alleviate that problem, but by default that is not currently possible. Sonic does not really have to come to a complete stop to use a wisp, but just because you don't come to a complete stop does not mean the wisp is going to continue on with the properties that is Sonic. On a side note, this is very important, and we're definitely gonna be taking extra steps to try and prevent this from being an issue in the future. Sonic doesn't disappear. We're not destroying Sonic, because destroying Sonic would also destroy all the information relating to Sonic, which you don't want to do in the middle of the gameplay. That is a terrible idea. So all we do is we basically turn Sonic invisible. This also means that Sonic can still exist. We're gonna try and prevent any issues of that happening. Like, enemies still being able to attack Sonic, or Sonic falling into a death zone, things like that, if you activate a wisp over a bottomless pit or whatever. We're going to try and take steps to prevent that from happening, but keep in mind that if you end up using your wisps, Sonic will still exist in the game world. He will not just poof out of existence.
We'll just set his gravity to 0 and have a Boolean check for something.
We could just set it we set his gravity to 0 and turn off collision, and then turn it all back on.
That'd be quite a few things, and Like, we have to make sure enemies won't even try to target him.
That too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have a boolean
That says like,
turn
hey,
on, and the enemies will check for that boolean, and if it's true, then they're like, screw it, we can't get him.
we do have a Wisp
Yeah.
Boolean. We could just use the Wisp Boolean. Like, if Wisp is on, like Wisp ability is on, and they're like, oh, he's using a Wisp ability, I can't target him, you know?
Yeah.
We could just use that one.
We also need to determine if you can pass through a checkpoint as a wisp.
Yeah.
No, you should be.
We'll
should
mess
definitely
around with
have
that
that.
stuff later.
Yeah, but that's for later. Just bring it up.
But essentially, in terms of the cyan laser, to answer your question earlier, Shiranui, since you had asked, the couple of things that you can change for the cyan laser is you can change the pitch and the yaw angles in which you can aim, because the cyan laser can, aim up and down as well as left and right in 3D space to an extent. Obviously, they're clamped. The yaw is clamped at a 45-degree angle, and the pitch is clamped at a 25-degree angle to limit how far you can go. You could also adjust how fast you can, move the cursor as well. Those are things you can adjust. Another thing you can adjust is the... God damn, I moved all this over here. Where is it? I have it. The launch speed and the launch length. If you adjust these two in tandem, both the launch length and the launch speed are variables that dictate how fast the laser can move. The launch speed, because if you remember me mentioning earlier, the way that this works is it does a line trace and then interpolates your transform to the end of the line trace. The longer this line trace is, the longer it will take to transform or to interp to the end of the line trace. So if you wanted to just make sure the wisp moved to the end of it slower, you can adjust this here to make the length longer. You can also you can also change the interp speed, which the launch speed here, this changes how fast Sonic moves from one end of the point to the other. So personally, I have it set to really, really short. I have the line trace set to really short because if you get too long, you actually have problems with collision, because if you have two walls really close to each other and then Sonic bounces off of one, the line trace will then rotate, and then there's the potential that it can bypass the second wall, and we had issues with this actually. Sonic would completely clip through walls, and the shorter the line trace, the less likely that is to happen. But if you want to reduce that even more, I would suggest, just reducing the line trace more and more to the point where you feel like it's nice. And you can also adjust, again, the speed. The shorter the line trace length is, the faster the cyan laser will move, because it just gets to that endpoint faster. I do believe that if you set it to be too short, you could run into an error where the interp speed will overlap the length, in which case you need to make sure you drop the interp speed, or else Sonic will reach the end of it and then he'll just sit there for a second as it creates a new one, which can potentially create some stutter, which is kind of annoying. I've never had that happen to me because I've been very careful with it, but that's what I theorize would happen, is if you set the length too low, then Sonic would interpolate to the end faster than you could create a new line. But those are essentially the two things, or the main things that you can adjust. You can also adjust the timeout time. 3.5 seconds is the time in which that, if you remember me talking about earlier, there is a hard-coded sub-timer that runs in the background that says, hey, don't last much longer than this. What is the game? It is Unreal Engine, Sonic Infinity Plus. How are you doing today, Rick?
Oh shit, wubba lubba dub dub.
Rick and Gamic, wubba lubba dub dub. Yes, indeed. If you don't want the cyan laser to ever time out, all you gotta do is just deactivate the set timer.
No, this is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah, you just break this. That's all you gotta do. And then that code will never run, and there will no longer be a hard-coded timer. If you wanted to adjust the how long it takes for the cyan laser to time out. You adjust this. And essentially how the timeout works is once the timeout is over, what it will do is it will begin to subtract a set number from your launch speed, so your interpolation speed, up until you reach essentially 0.5, in which at that point in time you slowly come to a stop, which you probably noticed when I hit that infinite loop, I would actually come to a stop. That's because my interpolation speed has gotten to a point where I cannot reach the next joule before I can before I run out of energy, essentially. Can you play it? You can play it.
We should probably put a link to the game jolt if you want.
Yeah, if you want to do that, you can.
Alright, game jolt.
Game jolt. So those are a couple of things that you can adjust. If you want to adjust how fast or slow the interp speed drops, all you got to do is adjust this number right here. And again, if you don't want it to drop at all, just completely disconnect that event timer. Similarly with the orange rocket, the orange rocket works on similar logic, essentially. It interpolates you to its location. How much is it? It's free. It's a fan game. We can't legally charge for it, and even if we could, I probably wouldn't.
No, we're not doing that. We're not pulling.
We're not Sonic 2020.
We
I mean,
don't do that here.
We're not Sonic 2020. I mean, fuck.
You're talking about like Adventure Chronicles.
Oh, we're not. We're Sonic Adventure Chronicles.
What? It's 2020, man. Anywho.
The rocket works on the same logic, essentially. It interpolates you, but instead of doing it forward, it does it upward. Emmanuel, you grabbing the link, or?
I'm grabbing it.
Okay.
Should I just send a link to the video?
Yeah, you should be able to post it in the chat.
Alright. There you go.
That video, in the description of the video, is a Game Jolt link, and that Game Jolt link will take you to a page that allows you to download it.
Here, I'll just give the link to the game jolt also.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's loud. Why is that?
You posted a YouTube link.
Oh, no.
It's redirect.
It's a redirection link.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
How dare you? How could you do that?
Can you delete that message? Or
I
actually Reese could be able to.
Yeah, Reese can do it, but I'm not gonna mess with it right now.
Pretty sure I can delete it.
I'm just a scrub. I don't have moderator
Wait.
access.
Do I have to go to the mod view?
I think you do. I'm not sure.
It's the middle link, the one that's really large and horrendous.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wait. Can I? No, I won't be able to go back and look at it.
Okay.
I just realized that and see all the people that you've banned.
Yeah. For the orange rocket, the orange rocket launch power essentially acts as the interp speed that the cyan laser works on. If you change this, it will change the speed in which it draws a line. We don't have a variable for this here, even though we probably should. Essentially,
I don't see the ability.
What is the launch power? The launch power does something. I don't remember what it does.
Yeah, I can't see it. Like, I can't delete it.
No, don't worry about it then. What does the launch power do? Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm dumb. Essentially, if you want to change how much energy or how much extra height you get out of your orange rocket whenever you hold the charge button, you would change this charge rate variable. Essentially, whenever you press the button, it'll set a timer. It'll only do it once, so if you press the button and you accidentally let go, then you're fucked. You ain't gonna, you're not gonna be able to charge it again.
You done messed up.
Yeah. Essentially, you get one charge per rocket, obviously, or one chance to charge a rocket per rocket. And then whenever this activates, it essentially just creates this here function, or doesn't create it, runs it. And up until the point where you actually launch up into the air, meaning because obviously whenever you use the rocket wisp, there's a little bit of time before you actually launch upwards. Like it moves you upward ever so slightly and then shoots you up. You can charge up the shot up until that point in time, which is what this variable controls. This variable is like, hey, this is the is blasted time. If you have already blasted, then no, you cannot actually charge up anymore. Is it on Mac? It is not on Mac, unfortunately. We do not currently have Mac support. I can't even begin to think about what we would do to support Mac, but that is an entirely different conversation for a different day.
Supporting Mac?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know what goes into that.
But essentially,
An
the orange
Unreal Engine can export to Mac, but there's like special things you have to enable in that.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
The orange rocket essentially works on the same logic as the cyan laser. When? Again, I don't know. That we've not even begun talking about it or thinking about it. Burst kind of works. You can launch up into the air. You can't really aim or anything like that. I'm not going to get too far into how burst works because that one's the most experimental. We gotta wait for a couple of things to work.
Yeah.
It clearly doesn't work all the time. It doesn't want to work all the time, so it's still experimental.
It's got the right spirit.
Yep. So that's essentially wisps. What we have so far, we have 2.5-ish wisps, like 2 1/3 of a wisp. We have to set up a control system for the wisps to essentially work on all the other wisps, because all of the other wisps work on a control system. Why did you make this? Because we wanted to. Burst, more like busted. Yeah, the burst is busted right now, but it's also not finished, so I think busted would have presumed that it was finished at some point in time and it no longer works.
Yeah, the reason why we're making this engine is because we're crazy.
Because we want to.
Alban left us an unfinished gem, and we're like, oh, we see something in there. Let's buff it out.
Let's buff it out. Let's refine it. Smelt it. Turn it into computer
and then
chips.
We went too far.
But yeah, that's essentially it for the wisps for now. One thing that we're going to be making sure we can do is if a wisp overlaps with a wisp capsule of the same type, it will refill your energy, things and such. We're also probably going to add a sub-wisp pocket that you can get, like, if you use a wisp and then you run out of energy on that wisp, the wisp that you had grabbed while you were in that wisp form will be your new primary wisp. Why does it look like a real Sonic game? Because there's a lot of time and effort put into it, and there's also a lot of assets that were used from real Sonic games. So
yeah, Shinra, oh my god,
Shiranui
hit the nail on the head. We have a lot of time on our hands, and we're not constrained by budget, so we can do whatever we want as long as we have willpower.
We're not going to show you our budget because we don't have one.
Yeah.
I can show you my budget. I'll just open up my wallet and there's nothing in it.
Flies. Just moths and flies.
All right, so I think it's time we show off our next big thing.
I don't think
yes, Big the Cat, everybody.
It is Big the Cat. Big the Cat's the next big thing.
Yeah.
What did you
The
say,
next
Emmanuel?
big thing, everybody.
What did you say, Emmanuel?
I was gonna say there's no use in showing him off though.
What do you mean there's no... Oh, okay, I get the joke now.
It
Took me a second, but I got it.
Well,
Big lean. But you said it so, like, genuinely. Like, you actually said it, like, so matter-of-factly. I'm just like, what the fuck?
That was the point. It's supposed to... It's like, I assumed you would get the whatever.
I'm not doing that, Rick. Time to show off our boy.
I should have added in Dreams of Absolution as a song choice.
We don't have a whole lot to show off with Silver yet, but he is actually coming along relatively well.
Yeah.
He can fly.
Yeah.
He hover.
Yeah, we're going to probably add in more functionality.
The hover needs a bit of nerf.
A little
Just
bit. Which we already have a nerf in mind of what we're going to do. We just got to get it to work. And manual.
So, hey, it does technically work. It's just that for some reason the physics itself doesn't work, but my system works. So don't give me that.
Wait, what?
We were trying to cap the max speed, and it didn't work. Remember?
No, like I thought the manual said something.
Oh.
It might have been said.
Nothing important.
Wow. What's causing that hop?
What?
What's causing you to do that hop? Do you know?
Yes. Question mark?
It's just a double jump.
It's technically a double jump. I unintentionally, this is completely 100% intentional and totally not a bug that I didn't oversee at all. But if you're in midair and you did not already previously do a jump, Silver, for some reason, will do a double jump, which I'm pretty sure I can fix, but it's actually been really, really nice being able to correct yourself. Like if you fall off a cliff, you have a short period of time in which you can double jump and correct yourself. So I think it's a bug that's going to become a feature, essentially.
Yeah, kind of like when you boost, remember when you couldn't move around when you boosted, and I reworked it so it actually was a feature properly.
Yeah. But essentially, what it does is it checks to see if you're in midair, and if you are in midair, you'll do the hover move. But for some reason, if you didn't jump beforehand when you press the button, it'll do a double jump instead. I'm not entirely sure why, but it will. I'm going to probably look into it more and see if I can work it in properly. But it'll be a little bit difficult, essentially. There's not really a whole lot to show off with Silver. Most of it is all just animation work because someone had given us the animations. Cyber Dude, I believe that was his name. He managed to rip Sonic 06's Silver animations and then retarget them to the Sonic Forces mesh, which is the one that we use. And we have essentially made Silver out of them.
Yep. They're coming along nicely so far. We have So a few things to note. For one, Silver right now, Silver's top speed is actually a bit slower than Sonic's.
Yeah.
By about, I think it's like 75% of Sonic's top speed.
Yeah,
roughly,
about.
Or 80%.
When you take friction into account, Sonic can move at a maximum speed without boosting at around 85 to 87,000 units a second. Or 8,700, sorry. Not 1,000. That's really fucking fast. 85 to 8,700 units a second. Silver can only move at, what was it? About 6? It's set to 6,000, but he can only move at about 5,600.
Yeah.
So
it still feels fast, but it is slightly noticeable. But hopefully it's not. We can always tweak it, of course. But like the goal is to make so that eventually we're gonna do this for all characters. I think that aren't like speed characters, make their top speed a bit slower than Sonic's.
Yeah. Essentially, you want to make sure that there's a difference between the speed characters and the rest of the characters, because you're playing a speed character to go fast. So that's the idea of slowing down Silver. Unfortunately, due to an issue that we have yet to figure out, Silver's top speed is not capped whenever he is flying.
Yeah, and that's weird because if you look at the debug menu, technically it's being set, but he's ignoring it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is because whenever Silver hovers, he's technically flying, he does not have to take ground friction into account. So Silver can actually move faster than Sonic at exactly 9,000 units a second at top speed.
Yeah.
So whenever Silver is flying, he actually moves faster than Sonic does whenever Sonic is not boosting, which is kind of funny. But that's going to be nerfed. Silver's top speed is going to be lower. Because obviously you don't want Silver to be like insanely OP.
Yeah, we could probably give him an ability, kind of like from Sonic 06 that allows him to dash forward, maybe. or something in the spirit of that, so
Well,
that he has some speed potential.
We are going to give him
but-
his free flight mode, and his free flight mode is going to be faster.
Yeah. I still have to think about how that could be match evolve everything, but we'll figure it out later.
So, unlike in, I think 06, I could be wrong, maybe 06 doesn't do this at all, but I know P06 does, and the 06 remakes kind of do. If you just hover in place as Silver, you actually do not lose energy.
Yeah.
You don't begin to lose energy until you move beyond a certain speed. Due to the fact that, especially on keyboard, it is insanely difficult to come to an exact stop, especially if you don't have any air friction. So if you look at my current speed up there, even though I'm not holding the button, like I have to slow down to a stop. Like I very, very slowly go back to 0. And if we had you drain speed at any point in time you're moving, then you would essentially be constantly draining energy at all times, always, because it is almost impossible to come to a complete stop without any air friction on keyboard. It's insanely difficult. So to bypass it, one, we're going to be adding air friction for one, because for consistency's sake. And two, Silver will not actually start draining energy until you move beyond a certain speed. And that speed is actually kind of lenient. It is possible to like tap like so and like gradually move across the level without draining any energy at all. But that is insanely slow and insanely tedious. So if you decided to use this exploit, you would be sacrificing time for the sake of energy consumption. So it's technically an exploit, but it's pointless and useless.
One thing I was thinking about Fizz, by the way, I know you were talking about the hover, but I'm not saying we have to put it in, but just an idea. Metal Sonic and Sonic Roblox 2 actually has a mechanic very similar to this, except that you stay in the air indefinitely, but only if you're moving at speed. If you slow down,
Supersonic does the same thing.
Yeah, and I thought that was actually really cool in a sense that it incentivizes you to move fast. I know that Silver is not a speed character, but I do think like every character should have mechanics that incentivize speed, and maybe we can make it so that, just an idea once again, is that maybe if you're Silver, when you hover, you don't like immediately drop, but like after maybe a few seconds, you'll begin to drop until you like start moving again. That way it still serves the same purpose, but makes it that one, you can't hover indefinitely, but it still has the same sort of mechanics, and it still incentivizes you to actually move around a bit.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll mess with it and see. One thing that I really like about this, and Reese is the one that set this up, but the way that Silver's animation interpolates. Ooh, it does not like standing on that.
I think it's because you can't snap to it. I think snapping trace is ignoring it.
I've stood on them before, and they didn't mind, but one thing that I really liked that Reese set up was the animation it used. Like, Silver uses this animation, but it actually interpolates to a different animation based on your speed.
Yeah.
And I actually really love it, which is why I hope we don't nerf his top speed too much.
I can change it anyway if we do nerf it.
Why is Silver seizuring between A posing and T posing? That's just what happens whenever the character snapping does not like whatever it is that you're standing on.
Yeah, character snapping, by the way, is what dictates, like, what you're doing, by the way, is like, if you're wondering, in Infinity Plus, you're actually constantly flying, but there's a line trace, like you're doing a line trace to the ground at all times, see if there's something beneath you, and then you're essentially snapping to it, like what happened here with the ball. Except that, it also allows you to, like, if you go up a loop or something, the character snapping is actually snapping you to the loop and rotating you along with it. The problem, one of the issues with this code is that if the line trace hits something that it can't snap onto for whatever reason, the character doesn't actually stick to it, and they kind of like fall, but not really fall. Which is what you're seeing with the boxes. He's falling, but he's constantly like hitting something, but he's not snapping to it, so he just keeps falling.
Yeah. One thing that we've not really gotten very far in it at all. Silver is not a character that we've gotten super far into yet, but we are making some pretty good progress with him. A lot of good headway. That there is the beginning of Silver's psychokinesis. Essentially, the way the psychokinesis is going to work is we are going to repurpose the home attack tracking code. Essentially, what I mean by that is the code that the home attack uses to track targets. We're going to use that same code because it essentially works on the same logic to track psychokinesis targets. Which is why, like you see, it's changing because it's constantly looking for the closest object to silver. Within a cone relative to the camera.
Yep.
So if I jump, like the next one will be next. But essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to repurpose the home attack code to track targets. And then we're probably going to use a couple of function libraries to handle the interpolation of the objects around silver. Oh, excuse me. So we don't really have anything to show off just yet in that department, but we already have an idea of how we want to go about doing so. And hopefully providing things that don't go haywire, which they almost did today. Things almost went haywire today, and I almost threw my computer out the window. But luckily we fixed the problem.
Do the roar.
Do the roar. Silver's psychokinesis may not be as difficult as a lot of people make it out to be, but I could be wrong. We will have to see. Real quick, I'm going to open up
Fizz, do the
Silver.
roar.
I'm going to swap up Silver's abilities so I can do the roar.
Oh, you have to swap the abilities.
Yeah, because the first one and the one that you're talking about are mapped to the same button.
Oh.
So let's real quick break that, and break that. I could have just broke all links, but whatever. Reese, if I remember right, you just attach like the pressed and the release to these branches, correct? You don't do anything else?
What's that for exactly?
Silver. His the thing that you made with Silver for with the shift.
The charge.
Yeah.
The charge that, yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do.
Okay. So another neat little thing. One of the reasons we created these boxes, I said we would be going back to these boxes. Actually, hold on. Let me pop over here. Is all of these boxes are physics objects, as you probably noticed, because I can push the ball around, and I pushed them around with Sonic a little bit. But Silver can do this. That was a little messed up, but he can also do this here. There he goes.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that slow when we eventually do it. and
I
you'll probably
charged
be
it
able to
up.
move around.
Like
You can tap the button.
yeah, I can tap the button. I just charged it.
Oh.
I've made it so you can tap it to attack or you can hold.
What happened to, like, you eventually, before you made it so that you can still move around when doing it, I think.
You
Yeah.
can only do it when you're flying now.
Oh, okay. I guess to incentivize flying around.
Corey 09099 is hosting. Thank you for the host.
I just had to change it because I was like trying to make it a bit more like 06 for now.
Okay, yeah, that was the problem. Is it was the character snapping was overlapping with multiple actors at once, and it was getting confused.
Okay.
Which again, we should probably shorten the length of the character snapping.
Well, the problem with doing that is we could do that when you're moving slow. If you're moving fast, you have to lengthen it, or else you can easily miss where you're running on.
Yeah, I know
You
that.
just- yeah.
I'm aware.
You're right.
He's got a little slam attack. Now, none of these actually do anything different. His air stomp, his ground slam, and his little wave attack, they all do exactly the same thing. Don't they all use the same radial force? Reese?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So they all use the same radial force. And charging the wave attack doesn't actually change anything.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Everything is just using the same radial force damage just for now.
But this is kind of the beginning works of how Silver will probably end up tossing objects or just, you know, play around with the environment.
Well, we can play Silver football.
Yep, you can play football with Silver now.
Chili dog.
We're gonna make a
dogs.
game mode where it's just Rocket League but with Silver.
Thank you for that follow, Sonic the Hedgehog 2000 or 206. Am I gonna get a goal? Goal! Goal!
Ronaldinho Soccer.
And now it's probably stuck down there.
Yeah, we're not going to put in the ball puzzle for Sonic 06.
No, we are. It's mandated in the fine print.
Woo! And there it goes.
God, look at that fine print. Oh god.
How's it going, Sonic the Hedgehog 206?
Oh yeah, that's the name I could get behind.
Not 2006, just 206. God damn it. Should probably increase the radius on this a little bit.
We'll get around to
Damn it.
actually balancing it. Yeah, it's literally Sonic 06's slap right now. Like, it's such a short range.
That is such a short range.
Yeah. It's a little pimp slap. We'll change it eventually. Like, we're probably going to revamp a lot of things. It's just that we've been playing Project 06 as our reference point.
It is fun just knocking around this ball. So. Woo! And there it goes. It is super fun flying around as Silver, though.
Yeah.
How's it going, chum? You're really late. We've already been streaming for like an hour, and we've pretty much gone over everything we want to, though.
We can still, like, talk and also play around.
Yeah, just play around.
Because we still have a lot of ideas we'd like to talk about, discuss. Like, for instance, should we allow Silver to roll? I personally vote, like,
Yes.
no.
Every character can roll.
Every character can roll. I don't see the point in locking characters out of the ability to roll. Sonic is very much a momentum-esque platformer, and rolling and our roll mechanics are an important part of that. So locking that out for certain characters just doesn't make sense.
At the end of the day, people can turn off roll for a character.
Fast Silver. Silver is fast. Not as fast as Sonic, but he is fast. Unless he's flying, then he's faster than everybody.
Which we eventually want to change.
Yeah, we're gonna change that though. That's a unintended feature. Woo. Look at him go.
Yeah, there's a bug where he can fly really fast. It needs to be nerfed. Just a bit.
His energy does replenish very, very swift. So if you do end up flying around, you don't have to like wait 5 years for the energy to replenish. You just land, and then zoop, your energy's back. You can fly again. So again, if you fall off a ledge with Silver, you can just it'll do a little double jump hop. That way you can save yourself. But Silver by default will not do a double jump. He will just hover and fly. He can do this. There's not really a whole lot to show off with Silver just yet. A lot of it is groundwork. We literally started working on Silver 2 days ago. And we've already made this much progress with him, which is a lot of progress to make in 2 days.
Yeah.
But he is just like, there's not enough to show off with him to like make a really interesting, you know, talk of it.
Yeah. And he's not even our priority to like for reference. And this is how much progress we made with him, just off on the side.
Yeah.
Our priority is supposed to be like combat and Wisp.
Very impressive. Thank you. Chum Zone. Let's...
Oh shoot, Chum Zone.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
Let's swap back to Sonic so we can show off the combat again.
Yeah. Work in progress, but coming along nicely. And we get to get a spitball while we're here.
It is Ow. Just dropped this one. It is kind of cool though. We only started with Silver about 3 days ago now.
2 or 3. Oh,
2 or 3 days ago, and he's already at this stage. Like, Silver has been incredibly easy to code.
Yeah, at least for these functionality. What will be harder for Silver actually is functionality in terms of like game design, because the only appearance Silver really made in a game was not a very good one. So we can't just copy the mechanics from that one for one like we can sort of, with like other characters.
Sorry, this is really fun to do.
Alright, so Chumzone asked, you were talking about attack modifiers in your live stream. Any ideas?
Not Chumzone.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That wasn't Chumzone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. His name was right next to it.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, so I guess I'll just go over it. So idea we had possibly is we can make it so that certain attacks can be modified, and most namely right now we're referring to the homing attack. We could possibly make it so that when homing attack, you could possibly that guy exploded.
He did.
You could possibly make it so that you homing attack and then maybe press square, and then you will do a different sort of homing attack. Maybe one where you plow through the enemy and retain your momentum, and maybe if you press circle instead, you will like do a kick, and then you bounce off the enemy. And who knows, maybe you can press like say drift while you're homing attacking. You'll like actually perch yourself on top of the enemy for a second. Maybe even the other enemies will like start attacking the enemy. You can like jump off any point. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with it, but the main idea is that you can, instead of adding new attacks that have different button combinations and all of that, you can make so that your existing like blueprint, at least for Sonic and this extent other characters, can be modified to do different things for the sake of combat and other things too. You could, like, we don't want to just add in combat moves for the sake of combat. At the end of the day, we want combat to be functional too. We don't want a situation like Spark the Electric Jester 2 where every time you initiate combat, it's because they're in your way, and if you can, you try to skip them. We want enemies to actually serve a purpose in other realms of Sonic games, which is speed, platform, and exploration. So, kind of like how already you can homing attack enemies to get to places, we can make it so that you can homing attack enemy to maybe gain some speed, or I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do with it. One idea we had on top of that to play into it, this deals with combat playing into exploration, is what if we had certain enemies that were infused with shields or even wisps, and they could use those abilities on you? Kind of like if anyone's ever played Metroid Fusion or Metroid Prime 2, that's actually an idea they have for boss fights, where bosses actually have some of your abilities they stole from you, they use them against you, and then eventually defeat them to get that ability. Maybe, let's say you can have a egg pound with a fire wisp, and they have a flamethrower, but when you defeat them, you get the fire wisp from them. Or maybe you can have, one cool concept I saw on Twitter was a egg robot that could fly around, and it had the eagle wisp as an ability. Maybe whoever put that in, when you defeat the enemy eventually you get the eagle wisp, and we can make the eagle wisp a very powerful wisp in comparison to the other ones. The sky's the limit with that ability, but we're talking about attack modifiers. I'm sorry, I got off track.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Basic idea of the attack modifier is that we can take our existing moves and modify them, either by, say, modifying it via longer or shorter button presses, or just by pressing, or button combinations. You know, just changing the move in different ways without asking for a new button to be used.
Yeah, so essentially, even though we don't have any modifiers on at the moment, like, not on, like, we don't have any coded.
We do actually have one, technically, the Stomp.
Oh yeah, technically the Stomp is an ability modifier, technically. Again, with the Stomp, if you press the button, Sonic is just going to do a regular Stomp. But if you hold the button, and you're up high enough, it'll transform into a Meteor Smash. Or Meteor Crash. What if, instead of a home attack, you could do a homing tackle on an enemy that would do a certain forward... that would go a certain forward distance before Sonic would need to actually jump off of them. Oh, like a lunge?
Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. When you say tackle, do you mean like you carry the enemy with you for a few seconds or half a second, and then you jump off of them, like you ride them like a skateboard for like half a second? Is that what you mean by a homing tackle? Because I think that's what he means. but I could be totally wrong.
Okay, it's really, really satisfying just like comboing these together.
I'm so like because I coded all of this last night. I'm really glad I got that right. 'Cause I
Yeah.
spent like probably like half an hour just coding like and just tweaking the distance and the speed and stuff like that for different moves. That's why I have those debug lines to tell me how far they're going. But Shiranui, was I hitting it on the head with that one, or am I just wrong? Am I stupid?
You're just dumb.
Doom cough.
Ploing.
Oh yeah,
God,
the
that's
solid
loud.
enemy has to be fixed eventually, but it's kind of funny how that works.
It didn't die, it just went patong.
Yeah. One idea I thought about is that maybe we can make it so that the solid enemies, instead of just only being killed by power enemies, they can only be killed by, like, say, powerful attacks. But power enemies just,
Sure, no, you completely missed what you're saying, apparently.
Oh, what I was asking, you said you were referring to, I'm referring to your comment where you asked, what if, instead of a homing attack, you could do a homing tackle on an enemy that would go certain forward distance before Sonic would need to actually jump off of them. I was asking if what you meant by that was you kind of like do a homing attack and then you modify it to a tackle where you actually grab the enemy and like kind of like surf with them for a few seconds, like maybe you're riding on top of them for a few seconds and then you jump off of them. Is that what you're referring to? Because that would be a cool idea. Like you hit an enemy, you kind of grab them, you're just skating on top of them for a few seconds, then you like jump off of them. Kind of like a delayed homing bounce. Yeah, okay. I like that idea actually. Because it sort of modifies, because the homing attack, as you know, when you hit an enemy, you bounce up in the air. It's kind of modifies it so that maybe, who knows, maybe don't jump off as far, or there's a lot of things we could do with that. But I do like that because it plays around with it in many ways, and it's visually satisfying, I imagine too. And maybe there'd be some risk to reward. Like maybe if you try doing it to an enemy that's, what the heck?
What the hell was that? It probably,
Weird.
whenever I do this, I probably need to just tell it to clear the home attack target.
We could probably have to use a different tag for like things that are targetable by other moves, because you probably shouldn't be able to homing attack critics.
No, I did that for testing purposes, remember?
Oh, okay.
I am just overlapping these entirely. Also, I'm assuming this collision sphere is the spinball collision that's just not disappearing.
Yeah, I haven't. This is the first time I've seen an issue though, but yeah, that's what that is. That was their homing attack collision. They both look the same. I wish there was a way to like label collision boxes and then like it actually like pops up next to them.
Whee! It's
That
a
looks
rain
really
in
cool.
boxes.
Hallelujah.
It's a rain in boxes.
Get
Oh,
it
dang.
absolutely freaking right.
Absolutely soaking wet. Sorry, I really like that song.
Not a bad song. Anyway, but yeah, there's many things we could do with that idea, and that's probably what I'm going to be working on next. On top of, so there, let's see, what we're going to. I guess we should talk about what we're going to work on next. So we're probably going to do more with the color powers. I imagine Burst will be worked on some more, along with tweaking Orange, Rocket, and Sign Wisp a little bit more. What other wisps do you plan on working on next?
As soon as we can get controls functional, like actual physical manual controls functional for the, for the wisps. Burst will be the first one we work on because that'll be honestly the easiest one to work on. Next one will probably, because we're kind of just knocking these out based on level of difficulty and how they'll end up being. I can imagine Hover being next. Hover probably won't be too difficult because it's very, very simple, essentially. you just elevate yourself and then slowly drop. And then we'll just add a light speed dash function is what we'll do. What?
Jade Ghost and Cube are slightly different because they're not going to be like direct. We're probably not going to create pawns for them. We're probably just going to modify Sonic himself for those. So I imagine those will be tackled whenever we figure out how we want to do that.
Yeah, Blue Cube and Jade Ghost are going to be the most unique ones out of all of them. They're going to be probably, I wouldn't say difficult to do, but they're not going to be easy either. We're going to have to set up a specific system for both Blue Cube and Jade Ghost, because they're probably going to end up using the same system. Jade Ghost will probably be the most unique of them all, because Jade Ghost, unlike any other Wisp, is not going to like transform you into anything. Essentially, you just become ethereal. You'll not turn invisible. You'll become transparent. Enemies will not be able to notice you. You might be able to even pass through certain objects, things like that. It'll probably be the most unique in terms of a visual stance, because we might even warp the sound and such for things like that. The ones I can see being the hardest are
Drill.
Drill will be very difficult to do. I can see Frenzy being a bit difficult. Spike, maybe. Spike might be difficult. It depends on how much of like Knuckles' climbing code we can repurpose. I don't know. We'll have to see. Void, maybe? Void and Asteroid are going to be kind of compacted into the same one. They're going to have different properties, obviously, but functionally they're going to be very similar.
Yeah, Rhythm is just going to be weird, because we have to figure out how we're going to make Rhythm work. Rhythm's going to be harder more so from design perspective.
Yeah. The only other ones that I can see being extremely difficult are Quake and Black Bomb, because essentially we're going to have to spawn in a ball. We're going to have to spawn in a ball actor and possess it.
Well, not exactly. We could just make so that it just kind of like is like Sonic when he's on ice, because technically in many ways that's what it is. Just maybe having a very basic like slope system for getting momentum.
Maybe. We'll have to play with it. Like I said, I think it potentially has the possibility of being like some of the more difficult ones, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we're just basing it off of like our previous experiences, like what is hard to code on real. And usually when you have to like play with the base physics of something and in a radically different way, such as like for instance climbing on walls is actually extremely difficult, especially when you want it to be something that's robust to work on a lot of surfaces. That's why Knuckles' climbing code is actually really difficult, because he can climb on literally anything as long as it's not specifically something he can't climb on. That includes like curved surfaces and stuff like that. So for instance, we want the drill wisp to be able to drill into anything and travel along it at any speed. It becomes difficult then, because you have to interact with an object in a free-flowing manner.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, some of these are going to be really difficult. I have to like really look at Ivory Wisp gameplay to really get a grasp on how we're going to end up using it, because I've not really seen Ivory Wisp all that often. I've seen Grey Quake. Grey Quake is simple enough to understand whenever you look at it. Ivory Lightning is going to be a
bit of it.
What?
For the Ivory. I remember watching like the Ivory gameplay. I can kind of understand how it works.
Can we just teleport to like an enemy? Like they just do just an homing attack.
No, it's more than just that. There's quite a few things with it.
Yeah.
So
it is a bit different. But yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to show off.
Oh god.
Yeah, those were dash panel failures. Go out. Okay, there we go. One thing I can show off real quick are these are the redirection prisms, the laser prisms. These are actually so easy to use. They were a bit of a bitch and a half to set up and create, but like after we got it done, they are like so nice. So what you're gonna do how we're gonna end up organizing this is if there's any objects that interact with the Wisp specifically, you know, kind of like the laser prisms, the little things in Sonic Generations that the Rocket Wisp would break through, or the gears that the Pink Wisp would use in Generations, or things like that. If there are specific objects that are Wisp specific, we're going to place all those objects in that child Wisp folder. So here in the Cyan Laser, we have the Laser Prism. So whenever you end up using the Laser Prism, you're not going to want to pull out the child. I mean, you can if you want. You can pull out the child here and just do whatever you want with it. And you can even orientate its direction. Ideally, what we would suggest to do if you do mess with one singular prism is don't actually change the direction of the prism, change the arrow itself, because the arrow component here will dictate where the prism will launch Sonic, wherever he hits it.
Yep.
So instead of rotating the actual prism where you want it to go, select the arrow component and rotate it instead. So since that's moving forward, or that's facing forward, actually, you know what? I'm going to just... It won't let me delete it. God damn it. I hate it when Unreal does this shit.
Why Unreal? Why?
There we go. Christ. Let me just move over here so it's easier to preview. I don't have to run all the way over there. So let's say I rotate the prism in this direction. That means the arrow is going to be moving in that direction. So whenever I hit it with the laser wisp, that's the direction it's going to send me. However, if I want the prism to shoot me upward, for example, like if you want to rotate it on its x-axis, that's fine. You know, do whatever you want. But if you want to rotate it upward in any direction, rather than doing this, because it would end up looking weird due to how the rotation works, it'd be rotating on its side, which really kind of looks weird.
It looks kind of cool, actually, but weird.
If you want to avoid that, all you got to do is change the redirection arrow instead. So if you change the redirection arrow, it'll launch you upward in the air instead.
Rocket!
Candle shoe.
So that's how you use them individually. And what's also nice about these is whenever the cyan laser overlaps with them, you can tell it it will by default refill all of your cyan energy laser. Cyan laser energy. If you don't want it to do that, all you got to do is tick this boolean on called last in sequence. This will make the prism recognize itself as being the last one in a sequence. And the last one in a sequence of prisms will not refill Sonic's energy. Which this actor right here takes full advantage of. What you can do is you can pull out this other actor right here. I should probably, yeah, the spline, laser prism spline, and do as you please with it. If I go ahead and create more than one of them, and one thing that's actually really nice here is if I right-click on this and... Oh, I want the individual spline point, please. You can right-click on a spline and cause it to be linear. And then make that one linear. You don't want to do it with the last one. The last one will not function right if it's linear. But the neat little function about this here is that these points will automatically point toward the next point. So if you look at the redirection arrow, whenever I pulled off of this spline point to create a new spline point, it automatically pointed the redirection arrow upward towards the next one.
Yeah, in terms of like level design, this is actually going to be very useful.
Yep, and it actually updates in real time. So if I move this around, you can see the arrow is moving with it. It's wanting to always point towards the last point on the spline. So if I, for example, grab this one, and I moved them out, I can move this one here out. Now the thing is the final spline point will, I don't entirely know what dictates its direction by default, but what you can do with the final spline point is you can rotate it however you want. I think you also... Oh, you can also control it through this here. I believe the arrow will control this. So if you control the rotation axis points right here, you can control where the final prism will launch you, like the arrow right there. And by default, the last one will, like I said, not refill your energy. So if I overlap with this prism, as the cyan laser, it's going to refill my energy. And then I'm going to then move on to this next one. And then once I overlap with it, I'm going to refill my energy. But then as I move over to this last one and hit it, it will actually not refill my energy. So if you keep an eye on my energy bar there in the bottom left, I'll go ahead and put it in slow-mo for us so we can actually take a look. My energy is going to deplete. I hit it, replenishes, and then does not replenish.
Yeah, eventually we have to make the prediction line not bounce off those crystals, just so you know, work on.
Yep. So these things are actually super easy and super simple to work with, and they are very, very nice in terms of like a set piece. So if I wanted to just create a whole bunch of them, I can do this and this. And you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is I like to select the spline points and make them linear. That way it looks nice.
You don't have to for the code to work.
No, you don't have to. It just makes it visually look nicer in editor.
Yeah, and we keep on adding like a specialized camera box so that it will have a certain view while you're doing that, which you showed off before, Fizz, but
yeah,
you would have to add that in.
To quickly go over that, because it won't take long to go over that at all. Let's head on over here. Actually, hold on. I can just do this one right here. This trigger box right here is a camera trigger box, and it is specifically for wisps. What you can do, if you look over here in the details panel, is you can tag this boolean right here called wisp only. And if you tab it, toggle it onto true, that means it will work only if Sonic is in wisp form. I don't think we have a both one quite yet. We might end up creating a both one.
You could probably just do an enum that has different like mode types.
Let me look real quick. Oh, no, what it'll do is, by default, it's both. If you want it to activate for both Wisps and Sonic, it's on by default. But if you want it to activate for Wisps only, then you just simply turn this boolean on, and it will it'll only activate if you're in a Wisp form. So what you can do, for this thing, and I don't know why we didn't have this set as variables before, but we do now. You can change the blend times for them as well by default, as well as Wisp specific. So you can have individual blend times depending on which one, like which Wisp you're using. So for example, and by the way, the blend time essentially means how long it takes for the camera to pan out to its designated location and pan back in. So blend in means to move the camera where you want it. Blend out means to move the camera back to Sonic. And in this case, this here is the location of the camera. If I create, or if I tag the camera component, I can move it around. The blend in function will essentially dictate how long it takes for the camera to translate from Sonic's position to here whenever I overlap with the collision box. And you can set it specific for Wisps. So if I'm running as Sonic, maybe I want the blend space to move at this speed. But if I'm using something like the cyan laser, then maybe I want the blend space to be instantaneous, which is what I have set up here. This blend space is actually instantaneous. It's set to 0, meaning whenever I overlap this as a wisp, the camera will instantaneously snap to its designated location rather than interpolate to its location. So rather than getting that smooth movement, it'll instantly snap to where it needs to go, which is just up to what you would prefer. For a super swift and fast laser or wisp like the laser, then you're going to want something like that, because the laser moves so fast that if you have a long blend time, then by the time your camera moves into position, the wisp is already done doing what it needs to do, and you don't get a very good cinematic feel. And obviously, depending on what it is that you want, like both of these have a very, very short blend time, meaning none at all. But for example, this one here for the rocket, I have set to 2, meaning it has a designated blend time of 0.2 seconds to move to its designated location. So that way, whenever I shoot up with a rocket, the camera pulls out in a nice smooth transition and then tracks the rocket. Similarly to how it functions with Sonic, you can set tracking and non-tracking. By default, this one here tracks the Wisp, meaning as the Wisp moves up the trigger box, the camera is going to pan up to follow it. But this one is not set to tracking, it's turned off, meaning it sits in its one set designated location and watches that designated location until Sonic leaves the trigger box.
Yep.
This one is also set to track, meaning if you remember me earlier, whenever I hit this, Sonic would ping from prism to prism. He would hit that one, and then that one, and then that one, and then that one, and then that one, and the camera would actually track him between the prisms. Which, obviously, if you're going to do that with the cyan laser, I would suggest making sure the prisms are set far apart enough that you don't get super dizzy whenever you watch it. Or they're not in a super complicated, fashion to the point where you make someone sick by watching it. So, but that's up to you. If you want to make someone throw up, that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to tell you not to.
Yeah, go ahead and do it, you evil bastards.
This one is not set to tracking. Most of the Wisps, one thing that we don't have is disabling the input of the Wisp, which we don't have a functionality for inside of the Wisps. We probably will end up having that set up for Wisps if people really want it. Most of the time, whenever a Wisp enters into a cinematic zone like this, then you're gonna kind of want to make sure the Wisp just does whatever it wants to do. So, and by default, the Wisp is probably already going to do whatever it wants to if it's an automatic Wisp, kind of like laser or rocket. Those are kind of automatic Wisps. You activate them and then you go on autopilot until they're over. So I don't think having it on for Wisps is necessarily a good idea, but we'll probably end up adding functionality to allow you to disable input as well. Probably for Wisp specifically. Like an added Wisp specific mode. Ghost Baby mode. We'll put it on Ghost Baby mode. God damn it.
Ghost Baby mode.
I didn't start getting tongue twisted until I started talking about Wisps and other things. Fucking Ghost Baby mode.
Too many Wisps.
Too many Wisps. The Wisps are giving me a lisps.
Nice. Nice one. You got the Wisp all tongue-tied.
Funny joke. So yeah, we definitely had a lot more to show off this time than we did last time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We had so much more.
And hopefully we can add even more 2 weeks from now. And
because the majority of the backend code's done.
Yeah. Majority of it. Not all of it, just a majority of it.
Yeah, and there's even more we can do. I know me and Reese, months ago, we were talking about how to split up some of the master code functionality so that they're split into macros and functions and events that get passed on to children actors more easily. That's another thing we were talking about. We could probably do that later or never. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll try it.
So, yep, that's kind of what we got. Anyone, we can probably spend a couple of minutes taking questions or just talking about stuff. I don't really have anything to talk about. I'm kind of brain dead a little bit today, so.
Oh no, he's a vegetable.
I'm a little bit of a vegetable today. I don't know why, but I am. Ugh. I gotta edit the next video for Thursday yet. I have yet to do that, so.
Oh, speaking of which, I was thinking if you ever were to do a stream with a Sonic game, either we have to put Toei Sonic and Sonic Road Blast 2 because I'm not doing that again with Sonic.
Regular Sonic.
But are we ever
regular
doing
Sonic.
that again, though?
We could.
I think if people really want us to play Sonic Road Blast 2, we can do another stream. Because I had fun. Even though he was a bit of a bitch, but...
Yeah, of course he had fun.
Okay, I didn't have fun playing the game. I just had a good time, playing the game with you guys. That's what I really meant. Like, because fuck Robo Blast. I don't actually like that game.
Okay, I did Shinra knew drugs are bad. Never ever do Xanax. If you do it, I will call the police.
If you do it,
yeah, that's not right.
Drugs are bad.
So like at
You
the
see a friend of
very
yours
end of
doing
Sonic Colors, like you hear final color smash, and then Sonic does the attack and he just falls over in like a fucking epileptic seizure. He like overdoses.
Xanax.
No.
Let's see.
No.
Let's see. Meth blue. Cocaine white.
Now you see what it is though. The final color blaster in Sonic Colors was a
Green weed.
weaker version of what it truly can be now, seeing how there's like double the amount of wisp. The ultimate final color blaster where it takes a full minute for the announcer to go through every wisp color.
Yeah.
Burst, rocket, drill. 3 hours later.
He like goes through them and it kind of it's like da 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 da. He has to take a breath. Side note: that level in Beat Saber is fucking hard. I've yet to complete it yet. It is a Beat Saber song.
Everything's a Beat Saber song. Everything
He
is.
starts screaming. That's literally impossible. You know, he goes like, "Ah, fucking horse!"
I've played fucking Megalovania and Beat Saber. It's fucking hard. I've not beaten it, but I played it.
Through the Fire and the Flames is like ultra challenge.
But yeah, the lighting was changing here.
Very badly though.
By lighting, mean no lighting.
Yeah.
One thing we do have to add eventually is make it so the sign with like bounce off of enemies and destroy them, or deals damage to them. But that can be done later.
He's meant to go through the enemies.
I think my stream has died.
No, I think it bounced off of them.
You think the stream has died?
Whatever it
looks
did,
like
it did
is
not
dying.
like it. Okay, I think
It
we're
started-
back now.
It started when you went through the ring for some reason. I think maybe because errors were popping up. It was
Wow.
clogging your PC.
I didn't get any errors.
Oh. Well,
Why would you insinuate that going through the ring caused errors?
Now, going through the
Ooh.
ring and coming back, on the other hand, that might cause errors.
Doesn't work.
Oh, excuse me. So, like, if anyone has any questions, we'll be taking questions for a little while. If anyone has any ideas, you're more than welcome to share them.
Oh yeah, we love ideas.
Except when we don't. Fuck you,
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
Fizz actually hates them. Oh, there was one idea we had about this, the mock modes that we haven't talked about. That you like.
Mock modes.
Remember, like the alternative to speed, boost efficiency, essentially.
Speed.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
That's actually a pretty big one I'll have to work on at some point. You want me to go over it, or you want to just like?
I mean, I don't think we came up with any other ideas, did we? Because I remember we went over it last stream and we came up with ideas during the stream, but I don't think we came up with anything
No. I'm
new.
talking about the mock mode idea.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm saying, like, do you want to talk about that, or do you just want to like not talk about it?
I don't really want to talk about anything right now. My brain's fried. Like, you
Okay.
start talking about shit and my brain just kind of dies because it apparently doesn't want to listen to anyone today. I don't know why.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay, I see how it is.
I know. Fucking manual, right?
Wow.
Wow,
We've got drama, everybody.
We have
guys,
drama.
we're going to fucking implode the
Mm.
team,
The team is just gonna disband.
Now,
or as we like to say, we're going to donut.
Wow, no.
If you send me $30, I will do nothing in Infinity Plus. You will not get any perks. You'll just be sending me $30.
If you send me $100, I'll also do nothing
I'll
and
suck your
probably
dick.
leave the team.
I'll suck your dick.
No,
No,
No.
I don't stoop to that low.
Yet.
Wow.
if you give me $100, I will be very thankful and write you a card.
Oh, write you a card.
Oh, wow. Emmanuel, he buys like a £1 card as well.
If you send me 50
Okay.
bucks, I'll spend 50 bucks buying a card.
If you send me $100, I'll just send it right back.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I do like I'm not trying to stroke my own ego, but I do like that you guys, well, at least Fizz is like appreciating, like liking the combat so far in terms of like how it feels.
It's terrible. Why did you add it? You should feel bad. Oh, look at Fizz rolling around at the speed of sound. This is the giant orb floating in the sky.
Rolling around at the
floating in the
speed
sky.
of...
Eventually, we do have to work out particles to show that you're speed shifting and crap.
Yeah.
Particles.
I'm gonna go bop around some more enemies, because this is like really super fun.
Yeah. One thing that could be cool is that maybe when you do like the spin kick, not like maybe, I'm not sure how we'll do it, but maybe if you do the slide kick, instead of it sending them upwards, or maybe hit them with a certain angle, they have to fly forward, and maybe they'll glow or something and signify that they're projectiles. They hit other enemies. So you can do like a roll into enemy, pop them up, and then like kick them forward. Kind of like how Sonic does this a lot actually in like cutscenes and stuff in general. Like he kicks fucking enemies away.
Kick, please.
He kicks.
Yeah, which I think is actually kind of, I think it's kind of cool. I'll think about it, but that's something to think about is maybe turning enemies into projectiles as Sonic, because it does fit his character. Sonic is very versatile in terms of like taking his environment and using it to his advantage, compared to other characters at least.
It does that, and I believe Sonic Generations. Like if you home attack into an enemy, I know it does it Unleashed. If you home attack into an enemy, it'll knock the enemy back and destroy other enemies.
Yeah,
Or
think it'll be
boost.
better. I think we should make it maybe so that, because it can mess you up. Maybe if you boost an enemy and they hit an enemy that you kind of need.
Yeah.
I think it would be better maybe just certain attacks do it, and otherwise the enemy will either bounce off other enemies or they'll like get destroyed by other enemy. Just to make it so that, because it'll be better if like in terms of combat, making some moves had different uses, and you don't want all moves having the same functionality in terms of, oh, all these moves will launch enemies. Like I'm not saying it's impossible or bad, just from my own headcanon, it may be a better idea to just make some moves specifically like launching moves.
I mean, from my headcanon, Sally's a little bitch.
Oh, you're right about that.
Say what now? Say what now? I'm quitting. I'm quitting.
Word around here is Princess Acorn's a punk ass little bitch.
Oh, right, that's it. Bye, guys.
Making a call out post on my Twitter.com.
She pissed on my fucking IDW comics. They're definitely pretty satisfying.
It is. I enjoy it immensely.
My preferred combo personally is rolling 3 times and then doing the slide kick, just to like say, "Fuck you" in the air now.
Well, I can't always land it. It's very, very difficult to land a kick.
Yeah, I didn't really program it to be like that. That's like a whole other like box of cats right there. Like programming moves to actually combo into each other.
That was loud.
Oh, shit. I've got over 300 confirmed kills in Iraq.
What about Afghanistan?
I was in Iraq.
Only Iraq.
I graduated top of my class. I don't fucking know.
Oh, hold on. And... Ow.
So, I'll just talk about the boost efficiency thing really quick. Just for the viewers. One idea we had is, right now if you boost, or if you're running at speed actually, you have a boost efficiency meter above your boost meter. And the faster you go, the less boost you can consume like per second, or however you put it.
Yeah.
But it's a bit finicky because it fluctuates widely. And one idea I came up with that Fizz like actually liked for once, oh my god, was
Wow.
the idea was, what if instead of like it being a like constantly changing variable, what if we had different states for Sonic or even other speed characters where the faster you go, like if you ever play Sonic Advance 2, one thing that happens is if you're running at a certain speed, after a few seconds, Sonic will actually burst forward and go to what's called like boost mode, where he has increased speed, increased acceleration, and he can do like certain moves. I was thinking maybe we could borrow some of that and maybe make it so that if Sonic runs at say a certain speed for a few seconds, boosting or non-boosting, eventually he will like speed up, or not speed up, but like he will go into a different Mach mode, as I'll call it, where his top speed while boosting or whatever increases. There could be other perks too, like increased acceleration and also maybe increased boost efficiency. And what's cool is that there could be there could be different Mach modes too. You don't have to have just one state where you're in Mach mode and not Mach mode. Maybe every time, like let's say you run at high speed for a while, you go to Mach mode 1, you like maybe get slight increase in speed, increase in boost efficiency, stuff like that. Maybe you do increase damage and stuff like that. Maybe after a few seconds of running at even higher speed, you'll increase to Mach mode 2, and then you can maybe go to Mach mode 3 or 4, or 20,019, or whatever you want. But it could be like a cool idea to have different states that incentivizes you always going fast without necessarily saying, oh, just try to keep the boost up. Instead, it's like, just try to run past a certain speed. And on top of that, we could, like I said, mentioned earlier, we can make it so that when you're in these different states, you have increased damage or maybe increased attack speed. And what'll be cool, and this is sort of a cheat, because I was inspired from the Momentum engine that I think Wolfbane is working on for this idea, is maybe so as I mentioned earlier, you have to run at a certain speed, above a certain speed for a certain amount of time in order to increase your Mach mode. Well, what if you by defeating enemies, it decreases the amount of time it takes in order to shift upwards, essentially, from one Mach mode to another. Like, let's say you defeat 3 enemies. The normal time it will take to increase in Mach mode would be, say, 5 seconds. What if it decreases that to now 2 seconds? So that can incentivize combat to increase that. And then, of course, since you're increased Mach mode, you deal more damage, or you have some other combat perks. So it's like a feedback loop that incentivizes good play, fast speed, good vibes, chilling, all of that stuff. But that's just an idea I had. Fizz were talking about. And we can have cool particle effects. Maybe when you go in Mach modes, you have like maybe a wind particle for the first mode, and second one you have like lightning. And the third mode, maybe Sonic just goes Super Saiyan.
He just fucking explodes.
He just explodes.
Eggman wins.
For his 4th Mach mode, he goes Super Saiyan 9. I don't know if Fizz is listening to Shinranu, but it's fine. Like, Fizz has been working on Silver. He's brain tired.
You were talking this whole time?
Really?
I was in and out throughout that entire thing. Like, I was paying attention, and then I wasn't, and then I was, and then I wasn't.
Yeah. Plus, we talked about before, so I'm not too fussed about it.
Yeah, we talked about all of this before. This isn't for me to know. I already know everything he's talking about. This is mainly for everyone who's listening.
Plus, I tend to kind of drone on anyway, at times, so I don't really mind too much. I'm more so just talking for my own sake, because I like talking about ideas.
You do like talking.
I do like talking. One thing that's kind of cool you could do with the jump ball, with the rolling now, is that's for our goal, Shirandu. I don't know if you noticed, but all this effort has been going into just making him a car. And yeah, you can get
speed.
Gotta go fast. Beep beep.
Dead.
I am spad. I like spad.
He just runs over Dr. Eggman.
Yeah, we should probably like increase the or decrease the time it requires to charge up a meteor crash. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It does also have technically has a line trace. If you do a meteor crash, it does do a line trace that's like half as long as the original one, just so that you can't do it if you're like really close to the ground, which I may either get rid of or change depending on how things work. Because I do want the meteor crash to be done at a much shorter height, and also when you do a meteor crash, you don't notice you can't move for like 0.3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a bit of a
Bop. Sonic bops.
Oh yeah, by the way, collision boxes now also hitboxes now also do collision against physics objects, or at least those.
Drive state, reverse state, and park state.
Yeah.
Neutral state. I mean, when you think about it, rolling mode is really just neutral state.
Yeah. Boosting is like drive state. Reverse state is dying. You just turn off the game.
You turn off Infinity Plus. That's reverse state.
You can't get the boxes, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All it does is just like the collision boxes just overlap with those, and I think it just pushes it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Spring.
Wow.
I know. I wish I was a scientist.
Dynamic
Wink and
cast
fist.
animation blueprint. Huh?
Ah, animation blueprint's broken.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that.
Just pretend I didn't see that.
Just
What
don't
problem?
look directly at the bugs.
Guys, if we file a bug report, we're gonna pretend we didn't see it.
Yes.
Every time. You know, there is like a level. If you go in the editor, there is a way to modify the what you call it, the volume of the song it plays at the beginning. That is pretty cool to look at.
I love that.
Why would you do that?
I know eventually we can make so the boxes like, you know, break properly.
Yeah, we're gonna
Leave
work
it
on that. That one box.
Tetris. Oh,
It's Sonic
I like
Tetris now. What
I like
am
how
I?
it fell over the edge.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the box.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
is that what happens when you homing attack a box?
Yes. Because it's Sonic's trying to move into the center of the
Do it
box, but
again.
the box is trying to move away.
I'm gonna do a
Whoa,
donkey.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Wow.
whoa.
Let's do that again.
Let's do that again! Set the default volume to low so you don't have to lower it every time you start. I mean, I only really do that whenever we're streaming, and on occasion whenever we're in like call together.
That's how Sonic gets around.
That is insanely not satisfying, but entertaining.
I think that's the only attack box that's not going away. I think it has something to do with like hitting something and
It has to do with the fact that it's a physics thing. Because remember, the Sonic wants to move to the root component, and the root component's inside the mesh, but the mesh is inside of a physics box. And Sonic cannot be inside of a physics box, so.
yeah, I'm referring to like the
The
collision
system
box
is
that
just
spawn.
fighting with itself.
I have to make so that like when a home attack is canceled for any reason, it like gets rid of the.
I love it.
Ooh.
Oh, this is so entertaining.
This is a new vehicle. A new vehicle for Infinity. Oh, there you go. Seeing it.
Every character has a wonky interaction with boxes now.
It's,
Silver can ride on top of them. Sonic
Light
can
gray
just-
crate. Oh.
Get back here.
Oh, darn.
I want to eat a shortbread.
Sonic is just fucking.
That's just the box wisp. That's what it is.
It is.
It's called the brown box wisp.
Box.
Box!
Just gonna rave out to its non-existent song.
This would be like, you know, a valid speedrunning tactic if you could, you know, manipulate the RNG that is the physics collision.
I mean, look at the height you can get.
Yeah, you do seem to consistently get height.
Yeah.
If you hit it just right, you can fly over the entire stage. See, it's a feature. We're just adding back the ability to fly over stages with Sonic.
Woo!
Using the box.
Yeah,
Oh my god, perfect.
I am ground railing now.
dude.
That was some speedrun tack.
Is this
See?
Crash 4?
It would have took them a minute to get on that rail, but it only took them a few seconds.
I love the part where I just go to the rail. I know this is broken, but it's fucking hilarious as shit. Oh god.
I just
Oh, you
remember
gotta, you gotta try and hit it while it's falling. Oh my god.
Woo!
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Wow.
Wow.
Other people who like work on their engines. No, don't look at the bugs. There's not a lot of bugs at all. Infinity Plus team. Box go fly.
Box go fly fly.
Box go
Nothing to
brr.
see here.
It's like the box is got a mind of its own and it's fighting with Sonic. It's like one of those cartoon
Yeah.
fighting
Oh, yeah, the
clouds.
fight. What is
It's
it?
a
Yeah.
cat fight is what it is. Intense box skills. This is what I call box strats.
This is a box strat, like, it's like the backwards long jump, alright? You've just got to manipulate it in just a way where you can consistently gain air from it. And then you combine it with the boost tactic, and you can home and attack it again, and it's just endless height. You can finish a stage within seconds.
Yeah, I mean, Wahoo Man has nothing on Infinity Sonic.
Woohoo!
Because all you need is a box.
See, all you gotta do is you gotta make sure you angle it on the corner so that way the collision parameters line up just right. That'll launch you up into the air.
Yeah, don't get your GPUs misaligned.
See, it worked. Oh. This is... Oh, you ended the 2D there for a split second.
I did.
Oh my god. Rocket!
God damn it. Holy shit, I got some height.
Dude, what have we done?
Where'd that box go?
Made an amazing game feature. It's in space now. You've knocked it into space.
The box is gone.
It's in orbit with the Tesla now.
I'll have to make sure I remove that tag, but it's still fucking hilarious.
Is this
Elon Musk can see the camera. Elon Musk sees the camera like on the robot or whatever, and just a crate flies by. Like, what the fuck?
Oh look, there's where that went.
Meow.
You know, it's weird seeing the outlines in the boxes because it makes them look cel-shaded.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's like the first thing I noticed. Get back here.
What people think game deving is, what actually is sticking around with box tech.
This is exactly what game development is.
Yeah.
This is why we've kept on this for so
play
long.
with the
Because
bugs.
it's fucking hilarious.
This is how you code.
That doesn't sound right, but it is 100% right. This is how you code.
Yeah,
You play with the bugs and then you turn them into features.
The
We're
whole
gonna
thing
add a
is
new wisp. We're gonna add a new wisp that just allows you to unlock this ability.
Box!
There's little known... Oh shit! There's a little known
Space
feature
box.
actually where a little known fun fact: the homing attack originally for Sonic Adventure was just a bug where every time you jump, you would just snap to the nearest enemy, and I think Yuji fuck his face or whatever his name is.
Yuji
Wow.
Fuckface. He's like, holy shit.
You mean Yuji Naka? Old man Yuji Naka?
Old man
Master
Yuji
Hero
Naka.
Stalker guy.
Monotone.
I'm sorry, Yuji Naka.
Box!
You're great.
Fox!
Yuji Naka, why'd you leave us?
Now I wonder, like, if I were to... Well, this isn't an actor, so I can't.
You can't. Yeah, you can't because it's a,
It's a physics object, not an actor.
It's stupid.
yeah. I mean, you can right-click on it and convert it to a blueprint for the lols, but like... Why? Why even bother?
Have you seen this box tech? That's why you bother.
I just want to change it to sphere tech.
Where'd it
What
go?
about-
Oh, there it went.
What about pyramid tech? What about I don't know what you quickly call the one that's like a hexagon.
what do you call a hexagon?
Prison?
Yeah,
Kinda
hexagon.
like the 3D version of it.
Oh my
God, that
god.
Oh, dude, think about that.
Perfectly
Aw.
balanced. It was just falling.
It was going to fall anyway, so... It was
Oh.
coming down
Balanced
anyway.
as all things should be.
Dude, when you think about it, the real
Please
tech
record
is
yourself on the same
Dude,
box
don't
as Ad Reaper.
dodecahedron tech is how you get your S tier right there.
Yeah,
That's your S tier.
this is your S tier.
Dude,
If
Sonic
I knew how to edit voice clips and sounds, I would totally do a box thing.
Box.
Dude, when you think about it, Sonic is really trying to hump that thing so hard.
Sonic,
Why would you
gotta
turn it
hump
into something like
fast.
that?
Gotta hump fast. Oh god. Yeah, these do
Oh,
not
yeah.
like the collision boxes.
Ooh, oh dear.
They do not like the
Manual?
collision boxes.
Is that what's breaking it?
I'm 90% sure.
They were working before.
Oof, bugs.
Look at all the errors. Oh boy. Time to fix the errors.
No, let's just push the changes now and release the public.
Perfectly fine.
Everything's
Yep,
here.
it worked fine.
Oh, I don't know if anybody noticed, but hiding amongst the characters is a good girl.
I know what you're talking about. There's no good girl.
Nah, Silver's a girl, right?
Hold on.
Ah, no,
Let me
Metal
see-
Amy. Of course.
Let me see if I can do this. And
He's trying to do.
okay, I think I got it. Yep, there. My character, Fizz is blocking the character.
Right.
There's nobody here. I'm on TV.
I'm on TV. It's there's some test meshes that's been imported. They are not rigged.
But they are in.
Yes.
Reese has been working diligently on rigging them.
I'm gonna cry.
So
Yeah.
this here is the old one.
You got the old one, yeah.
And then here's the new one, the one that we have modified and adjusted. And by we, I mean...
Well, I
Reese.
modified the original one as well.
Well,
That
yeah.
was my first attempt on the right.
Yeah.
And then I got better.
Then you upgrade it.
And then I did the one on the left.
You went from a level 1 crook to a level 99 boss.
Oh my god, I swear to God. I'm gonna fucking murder you. Look at the texture work, it's so much better. So much crisper.
Yeah.
Crisper for Whisper.
I improved.
CRISPR-Cas9.
I improved my work. I can 3D
How's it going,
model.
Blaze Rod? Why is my stream dying? That is so
Blaze
don't
Rod?
know.
You probably turn that to Blaze Powder.
Ha!
Here, let's try this
And
instead.
then you got metal cuckles and
I like how the first thing Blaze Rod said is, what the?
What the?
I
What
got
the?
metal cuckles and metal Amy things that I did.
Yep. We got Metal Nux and we got Metal Amy, which were here last time we streamed.
Yeah, just chilling. I made them for the lols. I don't think they're gonna be here.
Yeah, here's the
I
old
just-
mask. And the new mask.
Old mask.
I think we're still gonna change the eye part, so it'll change colors depending on which wisp you have.
No, yeah, that'll be a thing. I'm gonna get around to
Oh, be cool.
implementing that.
Yep.
And all of the capsules will glow different colors depending on the wisps as well.
Yep. Little capsules right here.
Wow, that's a
It's
lot.
gonna be fun. It's gonna be a pain.
Also, look at her little cape. You've got a rubber and actual cloth. Rubber, cloth.
Rubber and cloth.
Rubber cloth.
Because all I did was just put the roughness up on the new one. Just for now. I need to make actual maps for them. So I'm gonna cry.
I do think that you can actually select her class, and her class will have her character model, but it will not. It won't animate, will it?
It does not animate, it's just T-posing. Like, because it's a static mesh, the collisions work differently, like for physics objects. So you can literally go up to a physics object, spin on the spot, and you'll, like, launch the boxes. Because the hands just stick out far enough.
You lied to me.
Wait, no, that should. It's way more easier for you to push the boxes around.
When he said spin, I think he meant like turn the characters over.
Oh, you mean like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh.
do a twirl,
I did the no-no.
and the arms. What did you do?
I stomped.
Ah, how could you?
Could you do this?
How could you do this? The thing about Whisper, we've already gone ahead and set up some of the physics for her. She's probably going to be the main character that's going to have the.
He's the main character.
Who's Sonic?
What?
Exactly.
More like Whisper Infinity Plus.
Whisper will be the character that will have her physics changed up mainly in comparison to other characters, is what I was trying to say. Like, Whisper actually has a higher default jump than Sonic does. If you look at it here, Whisper actually has a higher default jump. How do I which one is it? I want to change it to the double jump.
To the double jump?
Oh,
Yeah.
go to the left to the variables and choose the category selected character related. And
Oh yeah, character setup.
I think so. I'm
Air
looking at
dash, double
stream.
jump. Okay. You're very hot. I need to turn my fan on me. This should do it. Yeah. Okay. So Whisper, for one, has a higher base jump than Sonic does. But she has like a very pitiful double jump. Her double jump's sole purpose is to like prolong her air time, not actually gain any height. Whew. So if we had multiplayer up, this would be a lot easier to show off, but it's not functioning at the moment.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, we gotta change it so Whisper cannot do these abilities. Because we changed the structure. Whisper also is supposed to have a lower top speed, which we don't actually have set up yet. And she will not have the boost by default. She's probably going to be the only character who will not be one of the default classes. She's not going to be a speed, power, or flight character. Mainly because she is going to be designed after Adventure Sonic. Like, that's our main goal with her, is to design her after Adventure Sonic.
So essentially the avatars, because that's what they wanted to do also.
Yeah. Why are you jumping in that direction? I don't want you to jump in that direction. Why are you jumping in that direction? Stop it.
It's because like when you're doing it, you're snapping to the wall to your right.
Now I
not
can't
really-
do anything. I'm
No,
stuck to
okay.
the wall. What's going on? I cannot move left or right. The wall jump might be fucked, but well, the wall jump probably is fucked because we've not replaced a lot of the variables. I forgot about that. Oof. There's still some things we are still working on with the refactor, and the wall jump is one of them.
Yep.
You've probably noticed I'm not playing as any other of the child characters because they're all fucked too, because I've not replaced any of the variables inside of the child actors. Because that all needs to be done. All the child actors at the moment are broken, but it'll be an easy but strenuous and long fix. Ow, my hair.
Looking forward to it.
So I don't really think we have anything else to talk about, again, unless people have any questions or comments or just things that they want to add.
Yeah. We keep asking for people to like
Ask
if they have any questions, and then immediately like either I or someone else starts talking, and I think people think that that's their cue to like not say anything.
Well, anyone
But
is
it's
welcome
just-
to ask a question at any point in time. Like,
Yeah. Just because I go on a tangent doesn't mean I'm saying everyone like shut up, I have an idea, I want to talk about it. Shut the fuck up. But like, you know, Sonic's hard. Ideas make Sonic less hard if they're good.
not all the time.
Not all the time. Some ideas make things harder. There was one idea I had that like literally, I forgot. It was an idea I had and someone else programmed it and it was like really hard or pain in the ass. Was it the debug menu? I remember I suggested a debug menu and restarted coding and he's like, oh, this is a pain in the ass.
Probably.
Yes.
I mean, all of your ideas are a pain in the ass, so.
Oh.
Oh. Now you're going to defend yourself on that one? Just like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because I mostly I feel
missed.
bad. That's why I try coding most of like my ideas myself. 'Cause then I feel bad if someone else has to deal with it. You know how bad I would feel if someone else had to code in Knuckles' wall jump? I mean, climbing.
Oh, I
Probably not that bad.
missed.
Probably not that bad, actually.
Uh,
We can give Sonic a hurricane kick. Oh, and that dodge idea I had, but that's for way later.
Why?
We've been streaming for about 2 hours now. I don't think we have anything else to add. Yeah, it's been
Nope.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
No, just Sonic running into robots.
And Silver. And Wisps. We actually had a lot to show off this week. And
Yeah.
I'm actually happy about that.
Yeah, which is sort of surprising for me because I feel like I wasn't for a minute there. Like last week, I like was unavailable, so I thought I wouldn't have enough to show off. But we do actually.
Hmm.
Proud of us.
All right.
Time to take a
Last-
2-week-long break.
Last call for any questions and such. Because I'm going to close down the stream and then go to use the restroom because I need to.
No,
God,
you're not allowed to have bodily functions.
Just stream that.
Stream that. Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you live from my
bathroom.
Piss room.
Well, alrighty. I think we're going to go ahead and close things up.
Yep. Go
Thank you.
back to daily life.
Thank you for everyone who stopped by. This stream will be uploaded next Monday as part of the just devlogs, like archiving the devlogs and such. So until then, we'll see y'all guys 2 Mondays from now.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys, and feel free to like
See you
talk in the
later.
Discord and all that.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you.
Bye.